Warning: the following show has been condemned by the Church of England. Well, they probably would if they saw what we're doing. I mean, I condemn it and I'm involved.
Right.
Johnny Dyer.
You guys were heading to the police station, weren't you? Right.
Yes.
Right, okay. So, you guys head over to the police station, and you're led quickly to Lieutenant Martin Poole, who is obviously the man you guys met when things went down.
Friend of Ross's, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
They're not like good mates, they just know, mutual respect.
We're best buddy.
I says, how's it going, gentlemen? You recovered okay?
Getting better.
How's the ribs, Frank?
They're alright. Alright. Well, wondering if you managed to get any information out of the two guys that you apprehended.
These guys are tough. The ones you've left us with, I've only really managed to get one of them to talk, and he's not saying much that we didn't already know. Well, he's not saying much of anything, really.
You know, there's a guy at the Juju house that has one of those symbols on his forehead.
That's interesting. Those symbols, mainly we see them on the victims, but one of the three guys here had one of them on his head as well.
Yeah, there's definitely a link there. But yeah, just to let you know, there's a one in the Juju house. Don't know if he's still there, but he's just a customer for what I could tell.
Well,
He's a dickhead.
He was a dickhead.
He was big meanie.
It's like so the thing is we've been investigating these guys for a few years now. Every now and again a body will show up, and it's the timing of it's always very like on a schedule, if you know what I mean. It's like you found Elias on a Monday. We almost always find the bodies on a Monday. It's always like there's some specific pattern to the timing. That's like the most we've been able to find. We just figure we figure that they've got to have some meeting point here in New York, but we haven't been able to figure it out.
Sounds ritualistic.
Yeah,
It does.
exactly. And like, we're sure it's a cult. We're sure it's some kind of ritual, but we haven't really been able to pin it down because we haven't really found their lair. You reckon?
Have you heard of was it the God of the Black Wind or something?
I try not to get too deep into the things they believe. All I want to worry about is the law and the facts.
You mentioned on a Monday. Is that when you find the body, or do you presume they've been killed on the Monday, or they're killed on a Sunday, or they reveal the body on a Monday? I've just. Do you think the bodies are revealed
Killed
on a Monday?
or on a Tuesday.
I was thinking of that. Was that Craig David song?
Monday, Tuesday.
Found the bodies on Tuesday.
Friday and
So,
Saturday.
do you think that the bodies are purposely set up to be found?
Well, look, here's the thing: they're not all deaths. Some of them are missing person cases. Like the way I figure it, the ones that are missing that never turn up, they've been taken. This is what we've been trying to figure out: is where they're taking them. Now, what's this place you say you saw someone with the same symbol?
Juju house.
Mm.
I bought one of these.
He's like, oh, this is nice. This is nice. How much was this?
It's $10 for you, pal.
He's like, my wife would love this. He gives you $10 for it.
It's yours. Deal.
Thanks.
I feel so bad when you go say deal.
Right, so you might want to check, or just your money.
Bet I am.
Profit making, you should keep doing this. You can run a racket.
Yeah, fuck the Kin Mill organization. I'm going to sell totems.
It's like he's playing an MMO again.
Yeah. Do you know if there's any strange going on? Have you heard of the Emerson Imports company?
Not really, not specifically. There's a lot of importers in town, but not doesn't ring a bell specifically.
What about the Cult of Darkness?
Again, like, we get a lot of cults and weirdos and stuff. I try not to pay too much attention to, as I say, to what they've all got their own name and they're all their own gods and things they're gonna save or destroy the world. I just try to keep them on the right side of the law.
Just to I've got a question about the matchbox. This isn't for the cop. This is for you. It's got like Stumbling Tiger Bar, Lantern Street. Is that a translation of somewhere in China, or is that somewhere in New York?
It's in Shanghai.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. Okay. Damn it. Right. Okay. Anything else you want to ask this lovely gentleman?
Don't know if we can try. Like, is it worth trying to talk to the guys who were knocked out at the crime scene, or?
I'm sure if the police can't get them to say anything.
Yeah, then we're not going to be able to.
Yeah, true.
My question: what's the next plan then? From where do we go from this?
I want to know. I want to try and find out what Emerson Imports has been bringing Silas. What he's been importing. It may just be stock or general stuff.
Or your totems?
Yeah.
Or my totems, yeah. Or we could go in and investigate the Schuler Hall, NYU, see if we can speak to Anthony Cowles, the guy orchestrating this Cult of Darkness seminar or whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Happy with that?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Alright.
Okay, hold on. What the fuck is this?
What the fuck?
Ah, here we are. Right. So, let me check this. Do the handout. So you headed to the Shiloh Hall at New York University. It's middle of the day, and there's a lot of students milling about the place. But the hall itself is empty right now. The hall, you're in this sort of university building. The students wandering everywhere. What do you want to do?
Can we stop one of the students, ask them if they know of Professor Cowell?
Yeah, sure. So you stop a young man as he walks past, and you ask him if he knows Anthony Cowles, and he says, what's the name? He says, "Oh, Cowles, yeah. Eva's father. Oh, I know him."
Why Eva? Well, obviously it's his daughter, but what's Eva got to do with anything?
Have you seen Eva? Woohoo!
Can we find the professor anywhere? Or what does Eva do? Is she a dancer or something? Or?
She's just a student here. But once you've seen Eva, you don't forget Eva.
Let's go and find Eva.
Got like some sort of facial deformity, or
got the big tattoo on her head.
got a big symbol, right? Yeah.
No, he doesn't mean it like that. I assure you. But yeah, it's like everyone knows where Eva is. I mean, do you want their address?
I'd love it.
Yeah, and he gives you an address for Cowles' house.
Well, this guy, 4 random men.
Do you think we should literally jet straight to his house, or should we investigate more at this hall, see if we can find any? What does he usually talk about, Cowles? Do you know of any of his work? Do you know anything about the Cult of Darkness?
I'm trying to find out what I know about him.
Too busy. He's got Eva on the brain. He can't even think of anything
He's
else.
like, oh, Cowles, he is always talking about something weird or strange, or it's mostly drivel if you ask me. But we'll all sit through it if it means we get a chance to sit with Eva.
Fucking hell.
Sleazeball.
She must be slamming hot.
Hey guys, hey, you random strangers, check out this hot girl. Here's her address.
Yeah, this is sort of familiar.
What's Frank interested for? Isn't he orientated a different way? What's he want Eva for? I don't want to. I don't care what she looks like. It's what it's what's inside it.
It's what's here that matters.
She's
I
not
don't
a
care
piece
what
of
she looks
meat.
like.
She's not a
not
piece
a
of meat,
piece of
boy.
I think we should go with the address then, I suppose.
Yeah,
Pretend we're really interested in his work.
in his daughter.
We've travelled from Boston to come to a seminar. Is it a seminar, would you say?
He just does lectures, he's a lecturer.
Right, we've travelled from Boston, that's what we're going to tell him. And we're fascinated in his work. And we
We've
want to...
travelled far and wide to
Yeah.
see the eighth wonder
All right,
of the world.
okay. Well, do you want to sell that to him rather than me then?
Well, I've sold it to everyone.
I was gonna like. I'm gonna assume something that he works on must be related to what, Jackson Elias was interested in.
Hopefully, but... I don't know, I want to get on his... I want to convince him to tell us something.
Do you want to head over
Hey.
there anyway?
Yes.
Right, so you head over to the address, and there's it's an on-campus address. Like, that's the thing. This is the reason the guy knew his address is that it's like it's part home but part office because it's he's obviously stays on campus as part of the
It's
university.
like a frat house.
It's not quite a frat house. It's like it's just downing a keg like whoa. So yeah, he's got his office in the frat house, like all the.
Hey, Professor Cow.
So
Yo,
you
Doc.
get to the door and there's like two students like just in their underpants drunk like what up, and you're like we want to see cows. Like, cows in the back, man.
I guess we should go in.
So walking through the party, drinking
Is
everywhere.
this really happening?
No, not really.
Okay. Got confused for a minute.
I was.
No. This is 1926. So no,
Party then.
I don't think they had toga parties and beer bongs.
Till now.
So anyway, so you go into you knock on the door and there's an old but very like old man, big bushy beard, big grin on his face. He's like, "Oh, welcome students. What can I do for you? Oh, actually, you look a bit old for students. What can I do for you?" And all the same.
Me? Am I going to sell this?
I guess.
Yes.
You're the investigator.
This is
You're
it.
the
This
lead
is it.
investigator, man.
Yeah,
Right.
you're to investigation.
Anthony Cowell, right?
Yes. Pleasure to meet you. Who are you?
My name's Desmond Wilbank. I'm a huge fan of your work. I've heard a lot of things about it. I've travelled all the way from Boston.
What have you heard about my work?
Well, I've heard it's fascinating. It's fascinating what you've got to say about Polynesia and everything in the Southwest Pacific.
This guy.
It's like, oh, did you attend the Cult of Darkness? That was one of my best sessions.
Well, that's the thing. We've only just arrived, and I was aware that it was a one-off thing. There was a hold-up on the train. Somebody jumped in front of the rail, like the tracks. We were delayed. We didn't get there in time. And I was just wondering if we could pick your brains on it, really.
It is terrible shame you missed it. It was one of my best sessions, but for a fan, I'm always happy to talk. Do you want a rundown of what I've discovered? My insights. It's wonderful.
Can we come in? I would
Please,
like.
of course. Where are my manners? Please do come in. Have a seat. And he sort of guides you in and offers you tea and coffee and.
Look around for Dalton.
This guy's. Yeah.
I just nailed that.
Yeah, you did. It was better than Julian.
I've been
Julian
practicing-
usually lies and gets caught. You didn't get caught there.
The opposite.
Yeah.
I know. I convinced. So we sat down in his whatever.
Yeah, it's all like it's like it's sort of like a living room style thing. He's got like big chairs and a fireplace, and he's like you're all just sort of sat around, and he's sat in his big chair, like very full of himself, very full of bluster, like oh welcome. He's very excited about talking about the Cult of Darkness in Polynesia and the Southwest Pacific.
Brilliant. I mean, I would love to sneak off. I would love to sneak away and try and find Eva, but I feel like I'm
This creeper.
This
This creeper.
Anyway,
So tell me more, Anthony. I'm fascinated by this.
So did you know that a bat cult, a cult devoted to bats, once existed amongst the Aboriginals of Australia? He says it was known across the continent, and the god of the cult was always known as the father of all bats. Adherents believed that by making human sacrifices to their god, they themselves would become worthy enough that the father of all bats would appear to them. Once he was enticed to appear, he would conquer all men. Sacrifices were run through a gauntlet of worshippers who struck the victims with clubs embedded with sharp teeth of actual bats. The teeth were coated with a substance derived from rabid bats to make the process even more painful. The poison was quick acting, but victims apparently went mad before they died. Leaders of the cult would reputedly could take the form of bat-winged snakes, enabling them to steal sacrifices from across the whole land. Now, one sec.
So this father of bats, would you say he was a Batman?
Well, gender wasn't specified in the texts. Many of these cult leaders were women, in fact. So,
Oh.
Batgirl. Cool.
so yes, you could be a bat girl.
He could be a bad girl.
Yes. He or she could be a bat girl. Yes.
Bad girl. You said
but,
bad girl. That's
Bad
fine.
girl, bad girl. What are you gonna do?
She could
What
be a
you gonna
bad
do?
girl.
Anyway, but the it's called again. Oh yes, but my research ran into the hurdle that this cult became dormant or extinct hundreds of years ago, and this is this kind of line of research kind of led me to a dead end. But there's been a lot of rise of cults of late, especially over the last 10, 15 years that bear a lot of similarities. That's been of great interest to me. He says, have you read the work of Jackson Elias?
Pal of ours.
Oh well, he's a. Oh, I don't know if you've read. I saw in the papers this morning that sadly he was murdered yesterday.
That's true. He was found with a strange marking on his forehead.
You see, this is what fascinates me about his work is that I've been reading up about this bat cult, and there's loads of great information about what they once were, and I feel like Jackson's work sort of started to mirror mine, but in a present day context. But I mean, I can't speak for him, and I guess no one can now. But I can tell you more about the bat cult if you're interested.
Please.
I guess so. I'm a big fan.
Maybe the same cult.
So
Could well be.
Oh, well, it's certainly a possibility. So, did you know that an Aboriginal song cycle mentions a place where enormous beings gathered somewhere in the west of Australia? The songs say that these gods were not at all like men. They built great sleeping walls and dug great caves, but living winds blew down the gods and overthrew them, destroying their camp. When this happened, the way was open for the father of all bats, who came in to the land and grew strong.
When you say wind, would you regard it as a black wind?
When he says living winds, that's the interesting thing. It's the texts are very obscure and very abstract, and you can draw many interpretations of what they mean because, like, the term "living" alone makes it seem like these weren't just a natural force. Not in the sense of natural of nature in any way.
Yeah.
Paranormal.
I said, "Here, let me show you this," and he
Totem.
Let me show you my
That
totem.
totem.
Zip.
He paid $15 for it.
Yes, I got
bought
this.
it off a
I got
police officer.
yeah, I got this from a police officer yesterday. No. So he says, so he basically turns on a lamp and it like shines a light on the wall, and he has these slides that he puts in there, glass slides, and each of them, so they sort of project a very crude image onto the wall. In each of them is a blurry image showing these overexposed blurry images showing a few sweating men standing beside enormous blocks of stone, pitted and eroded, but clearly dressed and formed for architectural purposes. The dim carvings seem to decorate some of the stones. Billows of sand are everywhere. He said he didn't bring the. This is confusing. Though he did not bring the houses. Oh yeah. So although I don't have it, the man who discovered these stones was Arthur McWare of Port Hedland. He kept a diary in which he recorded several attacks by the party who found these stones by Aboriginals. He reports that the death to victims from hundreds of small punctures reminiscent of the earlier bat cult. So I do wonder if there is a possibility of some kind of resurgence of these beliefs.
Possibly, because Elias was stabbed multiple times, so maybe it's
Interesting. Yes, I'll have to speak to the police and see if I can find more information. What else? And so the last thing I talked about in my lecture, and I think, I mean, this is only the cliff notes. The full speech was beautiful. If you're ever in town when I'm giving another session, you should absolutely come along. But there was many. Let me tell you a tale I collected near the Arafura Sea in northern Australia. In it, Sandbat, or father of all bats, has a battle of wits with Rainbow Snake, the aboriginal deification of water and the patron of life. Rainbow Snake succeeds in tricking and trapping Sandbat and his clan to the depths of a watery place from which the Sandbat can only complain and is unable to return to trouble the people. You see, again, these stories, they're filled with abstraction, but there must be some truth to them. This is some record of how the cult dissipated hundreds of years ago. But what it actually means and what it in real terms is very hard to put a figure on.
So what does it sound like? One clan versus another clan?
Possibly, yes, yeah, absolutely. But the thing is, the tales, the bats sounded like they had very nefarious purposes. So whatever the rainbow snake is or represented was certainly something that stood up against the father of all bats and stopped whatever he had in mind. It's very interesting. As I say, it's very hard to draw exact conclusions, but the stories alone are very fascinating.
Have you heard anything of something of the Black Wind? Oh, can't remember it now. God of the Black Wind.
It's not specifically in my research, but it's
or the cult of the Bloody Tongue. Something like
Bloody tongue.
No, I'm afraid not.
Kissing pieces.
I mean, no, I'm afraid not. I'm afraid not.
Speaking of the pieces, when Jackson was in England, in London, he was at the Penhew Foundation. I know she was that Sir Aubrey Penhew was linked with the expedition, but he mentioned putting together some missing pieces. Do you know what those pieces could refer to? Is it?
Sorry, you've lost him.
Oh, I've lost myself. When Jackson was in London, he'd sent a letter to his publisher saying I think he was in London at the time, basically mentioning he's putting together some missing pieces. Do you know what they could refer to? Is that just completely irrelevant? Or is that something related?
I wouldn't know, I'm afraid. This has been the focus of this, the bat cult has been the focus of my research for the last couple of years. I mean, I'm to be honest, I'm not done yet. I'm planning to head back to Sydney later this year and see what else I can discover.
I understand you've got a family as well, is that right?
Yes.
The reason I ask, I don't know, I've there's a lot of talk of your daughter on campus.
Oh my God.
Shall we say?
Oh dear.
I'm trying to think.
And he puts his notes down. He's like, "You seem such a bright lad. I thought you were really interested, but
I am interested." No, I was interested in your work.
No,
I swear.
Well, thank you for your time, gentlemen.
Okay.
Oh.
I thought I'd bring in, but no, I appreciate the time, Anthony.
He kind of shoos you out the door. He kind of shoos you out the door at this point.
Okay.
What a twat.
Who?
You!
Me? Why?
Fanny on the brain.
No. I was trying to get. I thought he was going to say Eva's very interested. She's out there with the Bat Clan now. Well, I don't know.
Well, why don't you ask her how your family had an involvement in your research?
We're out the door.
She consult
my totem.
Are we going to call it for the night? 'Cause it's getting to 10 already.
Yeah.
I'm gonna compile some notes surrounding these dossiers. Right, so
All
we've
right,
been
well-
to the Chula Hall.
Right, we're going to call it for night. So the problem is with these campaigns, obviously they do take a bit of time to get going. Like
Yeah.
you guys are nearly are actually we're actually pretty close to being done in New York, but and you guys are very free in this campaign to explore in whatever direction you want. But I'll maybe do a bit more sort of research and explanation into how to. I kind of need a few more threads to kick you guys going, I guess. But we'll sort of figure that out next
We're
time.
getting there. We are getting
I thought
there.
you guys were going to get into another combat scenario tonight, but you didn't quite manage it. So.
I know.
Was that in the Juju store?
Anyway, I'll just we'll close out the
Crack
recording.
shot them.
We'll close out the recording and then we'll come back next week when we continue. Right, so gentlemen, welcome back to Adventure Bastards. So should probably do a recap of where we left off last time. You guys had gone from Boston to New York to because Jackson Elias had contacted you looking for help. By the time you got there, he was sadly already very thoroughly murdered.
Rest in pepperonis.
We joined up. You'd left Trent behind, and you've joined up now with Frank and Roth, I believe. That's our two new characters.
Yes.
Well, let's see what happened last time. You basically you got a bunch of clues from the room where he was killed, as I recall. Just trying to find the notes of where they pointed you to. So you found a business card pointing to an address in London. You found a box of matches pointing to an address somewhere in Shanghai. You found a letter addressed from Cairo, Egypt. You found a pamphlet regarding a lecture. When you went and spoke to that man, he had information regarding some activities in Australia.
And we also found a dickhead in the Juju house.
You found a dickhead. Well, I'm trying to remember what led you to the Juju house. It was
that card with Oh wait, no.
you're correct. Emerson
Silas and Quinn.
Yes, Emerson Imports led you to the Juju house, where you, I believe some of the men there had similar at least one of them had similar markings to the people who killed Jackson.
They're the brain symbol.
Yeah. I think. I'm trying to think if there's any other clues you've had. London. Oh yeah, and obviously the information on the Carlisle expedition itself points towards Kenya, which is where they were last seen alive. So I think that's all of the locations and information you guys have so far.
And when we left off...
When you left off, you guys had just finished speaking to the Professor Anthony Cowles about his discoveries in Australia.
And his daughter.
And I think you were getting on famous with Louis with him until Desmond started asking about his daughter, and then he kicked you guys out.
Yeah. Classic.
Fucking Desert.
Desmond's a bit of a
I set
player.
him up perfectly. I
thought the last place we were was the police station.
PlayStation.
I don't know.
PlayStation.
Yeah,
Yes,
because
PlayStation.
we told them that we saw that mark in the Juju house, and then they were like, "Oh, we'll need to look at that."
I think you did
Were
that.
we gonna go down?
I thought you did that before, because I was watching the video back. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I mean, but you did also speak to the police station about that, and they informed you there'd been a series of disappearances, semi-regular intervals, that associated with that same order, and so that's about where you guys are. So mostly you've got a lot more questions and answers, a lot of very open-ended stuff, and obviously you're still going off. Your very basis is the lead that Jackson feels like the Jackson, before he died, was chasing up what happened to the Carlisle exhibition and expedition. Sorry, it was Kieran who kept calling it exhibition, I think. And he felt things weren't quite right. So, right, let's see where we are. So it was New York. It's January 1926. It's winter. There's snow covering New York. Your investigations had taken you most of the day. So when we left off, it was getting towards night time. So I would presume, unless you guys had anything specific you wanted to do in the evening, you'd be heading back to Frank's place. Oh, suit store. I mean, you guys can do what you want, but obviously, like, I mean, it's up to you, basically. So
Nah, I don't really want to go to...
We could break into the Juju store.
Oh, yeah.
It's up to you
Let's
guys,
just go to London. There's a little card
Oh.
on it. Let's just go.
See, I want to go to Shanghai because we'll get to fight like karate people and stuff.
Yes.
Well, I mean, you got guys. I mean, are you guys finished in New York? Do you want to do other stuff here before you head off? What's your thoughts right now?
We did get a lot from the professor, which was helpful.
I thought we haven't really, like, researched stuff,
Yeah.
I recall.
Let's go to the library.
Well, it's closed this time of night.
Oh.
Let's break into the library.
Let's go to bed.
What's Kieran looking at? He was like just. looking into the
It's like a shadow on the wall. I think there's a spider on the light.
It's gonna
He's looking
drop.
at a GIF.
Is
I
it
just
just
seen like
spider lands on his
fucking
face?
like spider leg like walk across the wall in the shadow. I was like, what? The light's so bright I can't look at it. But anyway,
Sorry. I think library could be good in the morning. Who's our nerd? Like, who's our reader?
Me.
You sound nerd.
Frank. Okay.
You sound like the nerd. I think library could be good in the morning.
Said nobody.
Yeah,
ever.
that's a usual thief attitude, isn't it? Oh, can't wait to hit up the library.
It's like Christmas. I can't sleep.
I mean, unless
there's
you've got any
books.
other ideas, we could break in somewhere.
could go partying.
Could we? That could be fun. Where? Do you know any clubs around here?
I guess.
You must do, considering you're an ex-cop.
Yeah, I can show you where like all the drugs come from.
Cool.
I don't want any drugs.
Oh right, you strike me as a kind of gentleman that would like drugs, but okay.
Wow. Wow. Put a little tick next to his name. A fan.
Well, after you openly like cried about his like wife and shit.
Yeah, that was just general investigation tech.
No, that
One
was
of
just
the-
your general foolery.
Foolery.
Right, you got a hot daughter, and let's be friends.
How does your character got a daughter?
Mine.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. I think we should go to the library in the morning.
Me too. I love the library now.
I think that's our bet because we don't have much to go off. I understand we've got some locations, but
Frank does love the library. He is a professor.
are you a professor?
Yes. Did I not
And is it antiquities or?
Let me just think.
Or psychology.
Psychology.
Psychology, yeah.
Psychology. I think library's good, and we'll try and look up some stuff. Might as well.
Okay.
All right, so you guys head back to Frank's place to sort
Yep.
of chill for the evening.
Yep.
Chill and eat burgers because we're in America.
Did I get to heal?
You're
not hurt,
You haven't slept yet, mate. So.
Fucking let me sleep. Jesus.
Oh no, that burger looks so greasy.
So
Looks like
while you guys are settling down for the evening at Frank's place, you get a phone call from Jonah Kensington, if you recall, was Jackson Elias's editor.
Oh yeah.
Who wants to take it? Anyone particular? He's basically he's called here because it's the number you guys have left as a contact number while you're in New York. So I guess it's Frank.
Well, it's Ross's house.
Either Ross or Desmond, if Desmond...
Hello.
Hey, how's it going? No, it's like good evening, gentlemen. I hope you guys your investigation's going well.
Yeah, I've been picking up bits and pieces.
Look, I mean, obviously, we feel terrible about Jackson's death. He was very important. He was a very important client, but more importantly, he was a good friend. So I've done a bit of digging around myself to see if I could find anything that could help you. I tried to contact Erica Carlisle, the sister of somebody Carlisle, the main guy.
Yeah, the Carlisle expedition
Yeah,
leader.
Labor Carlisle.
I forgot his name. Shit, that's embarrassing.
Let's call him Clayton.
wow.
Call him Mr. Playboy.
I should probably find his name because it's kind of important. There we go. Roger Carlisle. Roger Carlisle's sister does live here in New York, but she's not been willing to take my phone calls, and it's been a bit of a dead end, to be honest. She just seems very uncooperative. But nonetheless, I didn't give up there. I think I told you, his last few messages we got. He just visited London before he came here. I contacted some of his contacts over in London, and they said they'd visit him. I couldn't get anything useful, but you might want to speak to them yourself.
Okay.
To London.
There's two names I need to give you. Oh yeah, so he says you might want to speak to Mickey Mahoney, editor of The Scoop. It's a tabloid rag over in London, but I know Jackson worked with them multiple times, and they always seem
Mickey
to have
Mahoney.
and they seem to have a good relationship. And he also tells you that Jackson had previously mentioned Inspector James Barrington of Scotland Yard. He couldn't actually get hold of Barrington himself, but it was a name that he definitely recalled Jackson had mentioned.
What was that name again? Sorry.
That
James
was
James Barrington.
James
I
Barrington.
missed that
Scotland
because you all
Yard?
said it at the same time. DM, what was that name, please?
Inspector James Barrington.
We all just want to help
What paper or magazine was Mickey Mahoney a writer for?
The Scoop. It's a tabloid rag, but I mean nothing of serious worth. But I think Jackson fed them a lot of sort of he fed them a lot of facts, and they turned them into a lot of wild fantasies. But it was a good relationship, I believe. So if you find yourself in London, I mean, are you guys interested in heading over there to speak to London?
Yes.
Because I might be able to help you guys out. I'm good friends with the head of one of the liners that runs from here over to Southampton, so I can probably arrange passage for you guys if you're interested.
Is that boat?
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna be in a boat for freaking ages.
I
I don't know about London. Can we weigh out up our options? Because Shanghai would get in the cool fight for Kung Fu and stuff.
I mean, you
We're
guys.
not going to go everywhere anyway.
Are you speaking to him or are you just talking to each other?
We're talking to each other.
All right. Okay.
We'll
Can
put
we
him on hold.
Desmond.
Yeah.
And Ross, ask him has he got any contact anywhere else on this God's green earth?
I could probably. I mean, if you guys don't want to head to London straight away, let me know where you want to go, and I'll see what I can arrange. So I can't guarantee anything, but I can look into it. But just let me know when you guys are leaving New York and where you want to head. If you guys are keen to track down what happened to Jackson, then I'm happy to help any way I can.
Oh, thank you very much.
All right, and that ends
What a
that.
friendly fella.
Right.
Got contact for London.
Is the sister, she in New York?
Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah, Erica Carlisle, the sister of Roger Carlyle. Right.
So many names.
I know, right?
Right.
I've got so many bits of paper scattered.
I've given up on the names. I'm just winging it.
I mean, I'll remind you of important names as things happen, like when you go places and stuff. But there is a lot of clues and stuff to this adventure. Right. So you
My
got.
character has a bad memory.
Right. Okay.
As
So
a
you
player.
guys going to bed then?
Yep. Do I get to heal now?
Sure. You can roll for healing.
Is it 1d3?
So
I
that's
look
like,
uncomfortable. I look uncomfortable.
Basically,
From
I've overhealed. What does that mean?
Hold
Have
on
I
a sec.
become like superhuman now?
immortal.
It loops back round.
Like,
You have 1 health.
Yeah, you
you
just
wake up fucking jacked.
Or you either that or you explode.
You just max out.
oh, what a letdown.
Is anybody else needing to heal, or is it just
I think it was just me.
I'm full health.
I don't know. Let me
Yeah,
guess
everyone's
on-
fine. Everyone's fine.
skewed? Something I was going to ask.
Right, so over the evening, as you guys sleep, you all have terrible dreams. Nothing like there's nothing you can specifically put your finger on, like you couldn't describe it, but you all have very disturbed dreams, basically.
I'm having
I'm
flashbacks to
on a
those
train.
gifs.
I'm on a train and there's a man.
And there's-
There's a man doing strange things to me.
it's all very ominous, basically, and you all feel a sense of doom coming, but you can't pinpoint it. So you all wake up feeling a bit frazzled.
Frazzled.
Like the crisps.
Sadly.
Right.
There's my straighteners.
Right. So is it morning, I presume, or is there
Yeah.
somebody come to see us?
It's
or
morning.
Like a ghost or anything? I don't know. I'm just giving ideas.
I am the
I guess-
ghost of Roger Carlyle. Here are the answers to this entire campaign.
Oh, that happens. Okay.
I guess.
What's that?
What's what?
Never mind. Don't worry about it.
We could split up. One of us could. Two of us could try and find Erica. See if we
Who?
can track her down.
I'm
Erica
sorry,
Carlisle, Rogers.
Can I just point out? I mean, because you've done this a few times, splitting up doesn't actually save any time at all because I have to deal with both of you just as long. It doesn't. I know in real life it would help, but because of the nature of this me being the only DM, every time you split up, I just have to do 2 sets of things.
You know what we need? A second DM.
Ooh.
Well, that's what people do.
Man,
That
you're,
people
you're
do that.
coming out with the
Can
birds.
you actually do
today.
that?
People do that for adventures at like things where they'll have like people split up and then they'll split the parties and deal with them separately. But I'm just saying that if you
Sounds cool.
you guys can split up, but it doesn't actually help you. It just makes things take just as long, just with
The
less people there.
library. Do we know where the library is? Do we know what it's?
Yeah.
Well, you got 2 people who are
Okay.
native to New York. They probably know where the public library is.
I think it's.
It's 3 blocks that way.
Everything's 3 blocks that way. All right, hold on a sec. Me,
It's Frank's time to read some books.
Goody, goody.
There's definitely some stuff in here about library nonsense.
Real library nonsense.
Ooh, sick burn. Right, so you head to the library. Do you know what you guys are looking into?
I was going to suggest looking into the Bloody Tongue, if we could find anything. Like any history books on Kenya or...
I will say that it's a very extensive library with good sections of history, but there isn't really like an occult section or anything like that. That stuff was more common maybe back in Boston, where it's closer to things. But the thing is, I think you could have a look, but I think you would have a hard time finding that kind of information in the library.
We could try and find some of Jackson's books.
Oh yeah.
On
Or
what?
were they not published? Were they not published yet? Or...
Well, I
Did
mean,
we? What are the books that he was looking for again?
hold on.
There's the note from the publishers saying that they don't have, they can't get them,
Here
but
it
they
is.
have
You-
them. Or
You
something.
do have these handouts, by the way. I did send you some last time, but I've just switched to on
Yeah.
Roll20.
It doesn't say on the sheet what they were.
Yeah, but I mean, did we get them? Did we look at
Right.
them? I can't remember.
I guess we could go at the publisher instead and see... And just ask for them.
Because they
Well,
might be-
unless we'll get Frank to look at something in the library, he might gain something for himself. Get a
doesn't
little
look-
level up on his reading.
he does.
I mean, you guys are at the library now, so
Might as well do something. Might as well. What do you want to read, Frank? You brought us here, Frank. That's why.
I didn't bring anyone here.
He was so excited, you couldn't wait. Come on, boys, eat your breakfast. Come on, let's go. We're wasting.
Books, 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 books.
It's like a trance song.
I guess if there's
Little
no,
book.
there must be something here of worthwhile. There has to be.
Tell us, DM.
well, I mean, I know, but that's not the point, is it?
Why don't
We do roll for search for something.
There is actually
Can I-
there is actually a
can I-
concept that's not in. Sorry, let's explain this. Right, there's a concept that's in old Call of Cthulhu. That I think I'm not sure if it's in the new one, which is called an idea roll, which is if you roll above, I think it's like something like your intellect or something like that. I have to present you with a sort of a hint, basically. So it's like a hint system.
That's good.
Nobody
we-
put
can-
below his intellect.
I think. Sorry, below his intellect, probably. You're right. I should look it up before we do it, but.
Yeah, because if
Can I-
you
can
had
I
really
roll-
low intellect, you would just roll.
Could roll to intimidate the DM. Give up your secrets.
Let me just look up. Give me 2 seconds to look up idea roll. It should be really obvious because it's a pretty core concept, and it is actually meant to help you not get stuck, basically. So when you completely run into a dead end, an idea roll, if you succeed, gives you sort of a concept of what to
Aha.
look for.
See, I just don't want to waste our chance at the library to get something worthwhile.
Yeah, we missed out on every spell so far.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
thinking spell.
I don't think there's going to be spells at the library.
No.
When we go to Shanghai, we'll be shooting fireballs.
This guy thinks he's fucking Ryu.
Man,
It'd be awesome.
I just want to go
Here
to
it is.
Shanghai, fight karate people. I just
Learn
want to go to Shanghai,
fireballs.
fight kung fu people. Make up your mind, man.
Oh, well, fair one. Could be like Avatar. We'll be like airbenders. And...
I think you're overhyping what
Int,
Shanghai
yeah.
was like in the 1920s.
So you
It's exactly what it's like.
You succeed in idea roll. It's based on int. Yeah. So if you can pass an int roll, then I can give you a hint, I guess.
So
You
who's
guys
got
are
the
best
highest?
You don't want the highest. You want the lowest,
We
surely.
do, don't we?
Carlo's already rolled, and he's just managed to do it. So
Oh, well done.
Yay.
Well done.
I've got an idea, guys.
why don't the idea that comes to you is that the library might have information on the people of the original Carlisle expedition.
I think it might have information on people from the original Carlisle expedition. Let's search for that, boys.
That's a great idea. Well done, Carlo. I mean, Frank.
Can I be the one to find it? Because I've got like really good
Library skills.
library skills, like looking. Well, we could just ask for it.
It
We
doesn't
don't
make.
know the name.
You've still got to use library use, and you don't have high library use, by the way.
Right. Library use.
I've got a really sore eye all of a sudden. Oh.
Beep, 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 beep. It's just here.
All right, so that was you rolling, wasn't it?
Yes.
So
Frank.
Frank. You managed to get a hard success on that. So you find some information on Roger Carlyle, who obviously is the original runner of the expedition. There's no police record, no military service. He was you find some information, basically like gossip information, like people writing about him. Now he's passed, and they said that he was always wealthy and always neglected and ignored by his father. So he was the kind of kid who was always looking for attention.
Let's get this for 2 seconds. Carry on.
So there's some record. You find records about him escaping a paternity suit when he was 17. Family lawyers managed to get him away from that. He had he had treatments for alcoholism when he was 18, and then again when he was 20. But miraculously, he managed to graduate from Groton, but was allowed gentlemen's resignations from a succession of excellent universities. So basically, over the next 3 years, he went from university to university, being allowed to, leave without kind of prejudice. When his parents died in a crash, he seemed to take sort of stock of himself and go from this kind of wild youth and become and try and become more respectable, basically. And he went about sort of getting his life back on track. But eventually he slipped back into his old ways when his sister sort of came to her own and managed to take control of the family affairs and prove herself very capable. What else we got? So the last sort of people had heard of him was all right, guys. Sorry about that. So the last people had heard of him was when he fell under the influence of a strange woman that had came into town. He took her around a lot of parties and things, and she didn't really seem to sort of engage with everyone else, but he seemed completely enamored with her. So there's a lot of writing about that in sort of gossip columns and stuff about like what the because they like to keep track of what the rich and wealthy around town were doing.
What's her name?
There's no. Oh wait a minute. Let's see. So there's a name attached to it, but it doesn't sound. It sounds like a nom de plume, which is Nichonka Bunet.
Fuck, like I'm writing that down.
Yeah.
Rumors of debauchery and worse circulated amongst police and journalists, but I mean, people it's job to write about this stuff, but mostly people couldn't really get track of what was going on. But there was definitely a rumor that the family finances were being drained by him, and that it was causing a huge strain between him and his sister. But in person, he remained, very friendly and stuff when he was actually out, and up until the point when he actually left for the expedition, he seemed friendly enough, but he's a lot more withdrawn than he'd been in the past. So people were wondering whether or not that was him becoming more mature, or whether something else was going on. And that's about. I think that was about everything you could actually find on him. But because you did a hard success on the roll, I'll give you some information about one of the other characters as well.
Ooh.
So, Dr. Robert Ellington Houston, another member of the Carlisle expedition. No police record, no military service. The youngest of 3 sons. His father was a Chicago MD, who as a young man was reputed to have been caught up in the utopianism of the early plains and to have belonged to several deviant sects. Oh, lovely. He graduated with honours from Johns Hopkins, and after 3 years, he threw over his circulatory ailments practice and his wife, and went to Vienna to study under Freud and then under Jung. Houston was amongst the first Americans to undertake this esoteric and controversial study of the mind, which dealt so much with sexual behaviour that no reputable person would want to talk to him about it. He's essentially he was a doctor who was very avant-garde and very into sort of like kind of crazy and weirder stuff. This was the doctor, as you may probably don't recall, that Erica eventually sent Roger to. I think this was actually in some of the early notes, that basically he ended up being supposed to be a therapist for Roger, but ended up becoming a close friend, because when he came back to New York, he became a very renowned, very respected psychoanalyst amongst the rich and famous. And he was somebody who got very close with Carlisle over the sort of the final months, and was amongst the sort of inner circle of few people who managed to get close to him when they eventually went off to the Egyptian expedition. Hold on a sec. And yeah, and that's the you find that when he was declared dead, his records were turned over to the Medical Affairs Board of the state of New York, and there was some controversy about this because the records were supposed to be basically was because of the sort of weird nature of a lot of his stuff. There was a lot of arguing over who really owned the records and whether or not they were criminal affairs, medical affairs, or because of there was a lot of very deviant stuff in them. And there you
When
go.
you say deviant,
Well, it's because
what
he
are
was
you covering? What's he?
well, basically he was very focused on like sexual practices with his approach to psychoanalysis and medicine. And that's all you found from your. That's a half day's research, by the way, as usual with library. That's always the
Half a day.
That's always the case with a library role.
Time to hit the hay, I think, boys.
It's lunch.
Early night
and
for
Frank's
Frank.
all right. Oh, I'm knackered.
Do you get any spells from that? Any deviant spells? Deviant bender.
I know what to do when I'm on a train next.
What?
What?
Oh my god. Johnny gets
So what do you guys want to do? Do you want to keep researching the library? Do you want to move on? What do you want to do?
Travel somewhere by train. We could go. I think we should go to Emerson Lake and Palmer's place. The import.
The what?
Yeah, no, not the import thing. Got that many bloody scabbly bit of paper. It was a book place. The publishers. The publishers.
You want to go there again?
Right, and could we get some books that Jackson was going to pick up because we forgot. Remember?
Have you read the note?
I don't think we did.
Forgot what? You don't think we did what? Forget anything?
No, pen. What did you say, pen?
Have you the book you're talking about? Have you read the actual note that references the book? Because it doesn't seem like you seem to have misunderstood it.
No. Oh, okay. Right. We found here in other volumes. Okay.
Oh, I remember.
Right. First line. It's not there. I just feel unarmed to go
misunderstood.
abroad. I feel like going abroad. We don't know what we're looking for. I mean, we've got.
It feels like we've got some locations abroad. That's great.
Well, we've been given an
We have for London. We've got Mickey.
Yeah.
Barton.
We might as well go there.
Yeah, I guess so.
You can go Shanghai after.
Go Shanghai your own time, Desmond.
You'll be killing yourself if you land fireballs in London.
I can give you some information about what travel involves basically. Here is a map of the world and the locations that you guys already have got points of interest.
Can we zoom in?
No, it's not very high res map.
Kenya, Cairo. Can you do like a red line with a plane on its tip?
So just so you understand some logistics, you can go to anywhere, but some places will require a combination of travel methods and stopovers and things like that. Because obviously planes aren't really a big thing at this point. They exist, but they're very expensive and they're very traveled by the few. It's possible you could get a chartered plane somewhere, but it wouldn't be a cheap way of traveling. The most common way will be boats or trains.
It just seems a bit nuts that we're setting out on this worldwide fucking traveling with like zero aim.
We could go back to Boston and go to the library there, because as we've mentioned, there's more occult stuff there. You know, right under our nose, we could find something on the bloody tongue and the death cults and stuff. No, anyone?
I don't know.
Don't know.
Do you know what I mean though? I feel like if we go, we might as well. Perrin.
I feel like if there was something for us to find, it would be in this library.
That's true. I guess London's the closest on the map.
So what are we even going there looking for again?
Mickey Mahoney.
Sorry. So
Mickey Mahoney.
You originally had a business card found on his desk amongst his items, marked the Penhew Foundation, which was addressed in London. And Penhew was one of the original members of the Carlisle expedition. And also what the publisher has told you is that London was one of the last places he visited on the way, and gave you a couple of contacts that might help you out once you got there.
Cool. Okay, so we'll get some more information on him. Okay.
I guess London.
I guess that's.
How long did it take us to get there?
Yeah, boy, I love British women.
I've just got to remind you guys that there's no fast travel system in this game. So if you want to get to London, you're going to have to arrange passage and get there.
We have passage.
I guess
you
we
don't.
should
You don't.
ring
You don't
back
because you told
that
you
dude.
told the guy.
Bring back that nerd.
What was his name again?
It's the publisher.
Oh, it was a publisher. Okay. Well, we could go rock up at his door and say, "Can we have tickets, please?"
So do you want to head over to his? Do you want to head over to the publisher's office?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just gonna grab a drink.
All right.
While we head to his office.
Oh, I'm looking forward to London. I'm looking forward to Shanghai, but London will be cool as well.
God obsessed.
Well, I just think of Shanghai. I was watching like Drunken Master the other day, and it was obviously Jackie Chan. So that's how I'm picturing it to be like. Drunken Masters everywhere.
You
Great
like that
film.
It's awesome.
It is good. Right. So London's definitely closest. Do you think Boston, going to Boston first or after we've... Nah. Carl's probably right. Have you marked those names on yourself, Perrin, or were they...
I put those on myself. Yeah. The map.
Well, that's only... It's only...
Don't draw lines on it. Don't draw lines
It's
on
only
it.
17 feet from bloody... Whoa, 0.7 feet from Boston to New York. I'm there. Stone's throw away. 50 feet.
Why are you doing it that way? Go backwards. You can't do it right that way.
Really? What? I mean, you can't do it right.
You would probably travel the other way.
Yeah, you
Oh,
go.
so...
Yeah, the world is round.
So like if you do it, yeah. So like if I from there to there and you go from the other side of the map.